Hello, and today this broadcast is brought to you by Innovative Judicial. We're going to change it up, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the law, how the law applies, just basic what is a law, and how that law basically comes into being, moral choices, why is it good, why is it bad, and sort of what is the logic and reason and rationale that goes behind decision makings of laws and things like that. So I'm going to switch over to our host, Jordache. Hi, I'm your host, Jordache, and welcome to the world of innovative potential. So this is new. Demonstrating, we've learned to use a map maker, a little bit of GIS, but this is basically the world according to innovative potential. This is shown in white, so this is a map of the world, and basically everything in green is where information has been disclosed according to the Patent Cooperation Treaty. These are participating patent countries, so if you're living in one of them, your own money is your own limitation kind of on that one. You can go to university, you can look up all the information yourself, hook up with a professor, and begin to start your academic sort of like world into the world of innovative potential. But basically, in the white corner here, that's basically where we were able to secure some patents for some medical devices. So today I'm going to be talking about, we're going to switch over to, basically today's episode is financial decision making and how that affects what is financial decision making, what does it mean, where does it fail, how does it fail, and how does that work in the context of innovative potential and innovative judicial. So what's kind of going to go on there is, so a bit of a background. So it's like, first things first, part of what innovative judicial does, and this is part of the other talk, the update 2022, where we do this. So this is how the different parts of this monopoly kind of work. So innovative judicial are the people, places, businesses that ascribe a legal component to innovative potential. So if you ever started a business, it's like going down to the state offices saying, I'd like to register a business. So in doing that, you are working for innovative potential. That's how it works. So and then the state issues you a business number or a tax number, but that in itself is part of the corporate law system. So that's kind of what innovative judicial is. It's saying external to innovative potential in a legal sense, that is innovative judicial. So anything that you have to do with another legal body, so it could be the state, it could be like a DMV or a motor vehicle thing. That's like you in your daily life going to work for innovative judicial. It's like, if this is a legal document that says this is factual, basically. Internal to the company, innovative judicial is also in charge of the constitution of innovative potential. So basically what's happening there is, these are my lessons, and these are the ways that the company was able to overcome these hurdles. But given a banhammer kind of thing, I don't like you, you caused me a problem, I never want to work with you again. That becomes part of like further operating procedures. It's sort of like setting up a small program or an algorithm that says, the next time we do this, or the next time we encounter this problem, this is the result, we don't like that result, we will not do the same process again. So understandably, this it becomes like a will of sorts. The constitution of the business is now becoming like a will that says these things can or cannot happen, and these things will or will not happen. And if you continue to do these things, then you will hurt the company, you will hurt yourselves, you will do other stuff. So you're basically left drawing from, there's the regular national laws that you build upon, but then these becomes case specific to innovative potential. So we cannot work with this person because they are dangerous, or they're too foolhardy to be safe. We cannot do this one because they have stolen from us. We cannot go to this one because they don't know how to make a proper business decision. So, or they're just unqualified, like, you know what I mean? So it becomes one of those, situations where you can and you should write stuff down as it happens, so that there's at least a record that can be investigated to show you what the shape of the, like, if this was it's sort of like, if this was a person, this is how the person is making decisions. And as a person, Innovative Potential has been making this constitution for about a year now, based on its pre and startup experiences, and that's what brings me to basically why Innovative Financial is drawn up into this, and why the talk is called Failures in Modern Economic and Lending Policies. So basically, what's happening here is the game plan is basically, you want to start a business, okay? You have the idea, you have the idea, and you have the skills, and you need some, and you have the ideas, the skills, the resources to basically see what you need through to all the way to the end. You have assistance, you have supports, you have everything on the wheel of asset creation sort of mapped out for you. I'm going to bring that up here just a second so we all know what we're talking about here. So if you're unfamiliar, the wheel of asset creation is a study tool that is used to basically keep everything in line. It's just basically a way to keep everything in line. So if we can get this on the page. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why this isn't picking up. So save that. We want to pick up this one. Just use the picture then. We'll use the picture mode. There, that should be picked up. Not picking up here. It's not going into the main full screen. Which is strange. Oh, I know what I did. I think I did this. The point of the talk, though, is that the wheel of asset creation is the mechanism. It's all the stages you're going to go through to be able to set up what you want in terms of how a business operates, what's happening, where's it going. where's it going? How's it working? What does it do when it operates? What your thought process are going to be to overcome certain challenges and hurdles. So basically, what is or is not being talked about when these so I can get this stuff, but I can't get what I want. Okay. Anyway, so basically, it walks you through what you do yourself, what you do with a partner, what you do with your community, so like additional multiple partners, and then what you do with the general public. So what's happening there is basically when you need a financial assistance, your bank is supposed to be there to help you. And that's sort of what a little bit of a gripe on this is. But also this is a little bit more in terms of how to make a financial decision, and when you make a decision, sometimes it's not always about the finances that allow you to have more finances, and this is one of those situations. So this is a little story about how banks fail. So Innovative Potential went as a fledgling company to the bank at which I was at. I was at that bank for 30 years. I've since left that bank. That bank turned into just a series of unfortunate events, I'll call it. They're bad. They're following the people are doing their job, but they are not thinking in their job, and they have lost a capacity to think in their job. And that's sort of where I just spoke on. There's a financial decision, but then there's a big non-financial component about it. So basically, long story short, the banks are using, so when they lend to anyone, they're using a 1.25 loan to income ratio that as the sole decision point. So if the bank lends, it lends because the entity makes more than the loan amount. And that's what multiple banks are doing. They do that ignoring everything else, because they are saying, okay, well, if you have the revenue now, we'll just loan you and then you can pay us back. That's not the issue. We don't know and we don't care and we don't understand to care what you're building. We don't know and we don't care about how many people this affects. We don't know and we don't care about the political ramifications of not assisting federal monopoly holders. We don't know and we don't care about what's going to bite us in the ass. That's basically how the banks are operating, both BMO and Toronto Dominion. So I've been through this process twice with them for Innovative Potential. Innovative Potential has what is known as intangible assets through patents, like patents, copyrights, song, artistry, label rights. They allow other people to make money. They can be sold and exchanged for money itself, but the real value is maintaining their intangibility. Leveraging that intangibility is where the real money is, and this is what the banks are not able to do or provide, because they are not that very good of a financial institution. Because if they were, I wouldn't be having this conversation. So basically, the way this is supposed to work, here is an intangible asset. The bank hires a valuator to evaluate that tangible asset on behalf of the bank so that a portion of it can be leveraged as a loan or other financial capability. It's like, why kill the pig when you can just take a blood sample? That's sort of the idea here. I'm now telling you how to run a major financial institution within this regard. So what happens next is basically you do the evaluation, you get a number, you say, okay, well, the bank can now ensure that this value is this. The asset will behave under an amortization strategy or something else, and you now have a capacity to leverage in something intangible. So something like a song. Well, this song would be like, this song reached number 25 on the Billboard top hits in its first week. Okay, knowing how other songs devalue over time, we can say, well, that song is worth $1 million, and in 5 years it's not going to be worth that much, but it's going to get really good replay value in 10 years when it becomes an oldie. So it's going to do a little dip function, but then it's going to be like, oh, everybody listens to this song. Hey, remember 1999? Remember, 2023? Remember the pandemic? There's like those remember the pandemic songs that weren't like terrible. That's sort of how you write and value intangible goods. It's the same way as you write, do your house or another business or a car. It's like, okay, well, here's the car. The car costs this much. The car then devalues at this amortization rate, and you say, okay, well, the car is this. Well, that's sort of how a functioning and healthy economy and a functioning and healthy financial system is actually supposed to operate in the classical FIRE world, basically. So if you go back to like your Greek literature and stuff, like your Greek philosophy, houses are earth, shipping is like wind, fishing is water, and intellectual property is basically a fire asset, and it works very well known because you can build entire universities and whole entire nations out of intellectual property, just like you can out of physical land-based property. Property is property. It doesn't actually matter if it's one type or another. It all behaves the same way. And this is the important take-home. For if you're working at a bank or an insurance provider or a mortgage lender or something like that. It's like, no, this is how you actually create value and create wealth. This is where money comes from. You don't know how to create money, and that's why you're stuck at your dead job. That's what we teach at Innovative Potential. We're teaching you through these videos how to actually go about creating wealth and money through intangible assets. Go write a song. Go write a piece of art. Go, even everybody's YouTube and Twitch stream are types of intangible assets. The commercial and valuation rights of this video itself is now ascribed and copyrighted to Jordache Boudreau, Innovative Potential, Innovative Financial, and Innovative Judicial. That's sort of that. If anybody has a claimancy of ownership over me speaking, it's those entities. It's hosted by Twitch, but the content creator and the legal rights of the content creator are ascribed in the video itself. It's me in the video. What do you want me to say? So basically what happened here, and why is this important? Okay, so why this is important is because initially, this is about 5 years or 6 years ago, this is about 2016, 2017, I started Innovative Potential, and I went as the legal representative of Innovative Potential to the Bank of Montreal, saying, this is what I have done. So I showed them the publication, I showed them the thesis publication, I showed them the peer-reviewed publication, I showed them the letters of recommendation from public university and veterinary college metastasis experts, saying, okay, this is well known, this is concrete, this is a very de-risked plan of action. This is the business plan. The government is going to come in with me for 50% of the loan credibility, and then we're going to sell these units for the rest of the remainder of the loan, for the term of the loan, right? So that in and of itself has already securitized the loan by 50%. They didn't go for it. Okay, fair enough. Went through the patent process, built up additional went through the patenting, built up additional prototypes, really fleshed it out, started doing the Twitch, started doing everything, went back to them again because this is now at the point where we're at the point where 2,000 people die per day without this piece of medical equipment in the world of innovative potential. So see that white corner pocket there? That whole thing has 2,000 people die per day, and they die every day. And they've been dying every day since forever. And they will continue to die every day for forever because it's a disease. It's 2/3 of 9/11 every day, basically. That's how many people die of cancer. So in the world of innovative potential, that is what innovative potential has been created for, is to get the medical equipment that was invented and discovered through the safety checks and engineering checks and the manufacturing checks to be able to then have your doctor use it so that you don't die. That's the game plan for innovative potential. So I went back after the patents were done. So when the patents are done, that basically says that innovative potential is the only legal representative within this world of innovative potential, and says we are now representing these 2,000 people who die per day without this. Like, we've already proven that you will die without this being used. Whether or not you will die faster, or like, we're trying to answer that big question, and this is how we answer that big question. But you can't answer that question without the equipment. That's where it gets really you have to really pick your priorities. Do you want the animal study done on not perfect equipment, or do you want perfect equipment with which to do an animal study? You'd rather have the perfect equipment to do the clinical stuff, because then you don't have to go back and recreate the piece of equipment. Anyway, the point is, because innovative potential is a startup, it doesn't show a revenue. It shows a legal law. It shows US Patent 111989943 and Canadian Patent 3035406. It shows that the expert has been with the company for the better part of 15 years. It shows that that the peer-reviewed authors have signed up in some shape or form with the company. It shows that there is no additional due diligence checks for a financial system, because at the legal standpoint, at the legal precipice, it's the financial system that's refusing to participate. That's why people are dying. It's your bank and the people at your bank that are killing your family and friends members by holding up progress for medical equipment at the inventor level. And to use a revenue-based metric is incorrect for a startup. You have to start using, well, what is this securitized asset going to be like I wouldn't be wasting my time on this if it wasn't worthwhile in the financial sense. Because how much do your doctors and surgeons get paid to do whatever? How much do you pay? In Canada, the doctor's salaries are capped at about $300,000. Somewhere maybe $300,000 to $400,000, maybe $300,000 to $500,000 if you can do like heart transplant surgeries or something. So that gives you an idea of sort of where this ballpark is in terms of being able to recoup value on a loan. And this is a small value loan. This is initial request for $150,000 to be able to go through from the initial discovery phase, company building phase, all the way through to the using the Joey in its perfected form with engineering and with the CE standard marks, full electrical, full whatever, in its perfected form, and its like pre-commercial beta form, we're going to release it like this. Do you have any problems with it? Final checkout form, and do in vitro and clinical trials with it, or experiments saying that this is the full calibration when you use this device, plus the FDA security, plus the SO. So for $150,000, all of that could be done, and you're saying no to it. Very sadly, from 2017 until 2022, the Bank of Montreal rounded up approximately 500,000 dead people because they didn't loan the only legal entity in the entire country to be able to continue to work on its medical devices. Most recently, the Toronto Dominion Bank also did the same thing. This video recording will be used in court as evidence against these two institutions at some point in the future. Because people died, their family still exists, and worse, people with cancer diagnoses still don't have access to this device. The response that I get is go find someone rich. Go to VC, go to venture capital, but the entire financial industry is operating on that 1.25 income to, they're not supporting startups. Neither is the government. But what about the NSF? What about the grants? What about the other stuff? That's a little bit of a snafu that we're trying to work around by finding partnerships with American companies. Being in Canada, this the company has to be owned 51% by an American to be able to launch an application. Instead of so basically how the NSF works, or the NIH works, is that the company has to be 51% owned by an American citizen to be able to apply or get money, federal dollars for development. How this works is I own the law in the United States that stops an American citizen from being able to access under this invention. But I myself can't access the development funds, which is rather stupid, because the way it should be phrased is that 51% of the allocated funds have to go to an American company or something along those lines. It doesn't matter who owns it. It's like, no, this was invented, be joyous, be celebratory, and say, okay, let's put it into production. Let's see how far it goes. Let's give people jobs. Let's pay people. Let's have people not be poor. Let's have people not be unemployed. Instead, let's have 2,000 people a day die. So I've read our cancer statistic numbers before regarding this. I've basically, and this is all publicly available. This is not surprising. This is not new. The biggest shame here is the people who, I have a basic phrase written down where it says they're lobotomized. They're lobotomizing their capacity to do anything. And those are the policies of the bank. So if the worker at the bank wants to keep their job and show up tomorrow and have food and clothing and housing, they basically have to do what the bank says. But the bank doesn't know how to, the bank doesn't have a policy to override its own policy. It doesn't have a person strong enough within its own echelon to be able to make this type of decision maker. But since they're the only, since they are the societal sector that is most specialized in financial liquidity, it is up to them. Like the societal onus is on them, because they themselves, because their own employees are dying. By saying no to me, they're killing their own employees. They're killing the family of their own employees. They're killing their shareholders, and they're killing their shareholders' family members by saying no to me. That's how fucked up this is. This is where stupid. It's like it actually is fucked up. It's beyond clusterfuck. It's not a clusterfuck. It's a linear type of thing. It's a chain of command. Eventually, at some chain of command level, we say, "Oh yeah, we can make this loan." Never mind them. We can override our own policy. We're now educated enough to be able to make a small loan decision or something like that. And it's like, well, as of this video, you're going to be like trying to save face because of the people who have died. It's like it's 4 million total since it's 4 million people since I first went to the bank in 2016 that have died in Canada and the US. That's not a small number. So quite literally, nothing is being done for these people. The total within the patent's lifespan is 14 million. That's like 2/3 of the island of Manhattan will just be dead because of these banks and their lending policies. Because despite the logical system and the rationale for the logical system, the policy and the employee are basically asterisks to, okay, we don't care what you're going to do and what you're going to use it for. If you don't meet this cutoff, you don't get a loan. And that's wrong. That's part of the, like, when you make a decision solely on a calculator input, you lose context of why it's important. And the gravity and the gravity of it, of this recording, is basically that people have died without this device. This year alone, 82,000 people in Canada and something like 670,000 in the United States will die without this device. They'll die again next year, and they'll die again the year after. They died the year before as well because of these types of financial lending policies. And it's not like they're lending to nobody. This is the only legal entity out of 370 million people can't get a bank loan for the company to put the medical device in the doctor's hands. And that is clearly stated to every representative that I have ever encountered. So much so that this video has to be recorded so I don't lose my voice. So that's the judicial aspect of it. It's like when you start bringing in finances, when you take money and people's lives and put them together, that's innovative potential. It's like we spend money to try and save people's lives. So if this was a cardiac thing or a stroke recovery thing or a robotic wheelchair type of thing, there wouldn't be so much of a problem. So basically, to you, the audience here, it's don't waste your time with these organizations. Like them any further. They're not. The frustrating part here is that it's a combination of. Okay, so basically, these banks, these financial institutions, venture capitalists, and if anybody's offering a loan, they're functioning under this thing. So it's that the only metric for lending parameter is a revenue ratio of 1.25 of loan to income, involving an out-of-date process in which they just request disproportionate amounts of difficult to obtain taxation and financial information in the form of government documents, which can be supplied and which have been supplied, to satisfy a singular algorithmic computation absent any capacity to exercise rational, intelligent thought. So basically what's happening, what that means is I'm the bank, I don't allow my employees to do anything unless this number is met. I don't care how many people die. I don't care how many solutions there are. I don't care how many government programs are actually on board to assist with the repayment of the loan. If you're not in business already, we're not doing business with you. We don't care about startups. We don't care about new economic growth. We don't care about new products, and we don't care about solutions. We're killing off the citizenry. It's a combination of this lending business model that is suspected but unconfirmed to be underlying the entire financial industry, from financial companies, banks, venture capitalists, and everything in between, and with which the interfacing employees have been curtailed from reaching any personnel within the company capable of rational thought or being able to exercise it themselves, effectively lobotomizing the public interacting workforce. So basically what that means also is that not only is the loan officer not able to find anyone in the company that has enough seniority to be able to even have a conversation at this caliber, let alone two calibers, about how the financial industry is structured, where money comes from the federal government, how the federal government is actually backing these types of inventions and discoveries, because it is a competition between governments. Well, our government's able to do this, and yours isn't. Our money is more valuable than your money. That's how it works in the big world. If your nation and country can't do this, then you have to pay us. If you don't know what we're talking about, pay us and we'll inform you. Innovative Financial. Ooh, there you go. Corner of the world. So, what does that mean? What does that do? It's basically the people, the guy you hired, even though he has like an MBA or something like that, he doesn't know anything because he's never owned a business, he's never owned a federal asset, he's never tried to start up a company, he's never tried to start a factory, he's never done anything. He's basically stupid. He's stupid in a suit. And then you have him working under a company that says, well, your job is to basically soak up a whole bunch of information and then only function at this one cutoff. Doesn't matter what they're using it for. It doesn't matter what our public image becomes. It doesn't matter how badly we're failing. We just want that cutoff right there, and then you get to keep your job. If you don't do that cutoff, you don't get to keep your job. It's that easy, and that's the problem, because basically leaves them. It allows me to fire that loan officer very quickly. They're like a drone. They're like an ant. You squish them, they're worthless. They're not that worker and the team of workers, because it's not just a loan officer. There are loan underwriters. There are managers. There's about 15 different people involved within a generalized like small business loan application that boils down to this one number. It doesn't matter what their expertise is. It doesn't matter that they went to Harvard. It doesn't matter anything else. It's like, well, if this is so good, why aren't people giving you money? It's kind of what it gets turned around into. It's like, well, let me put it this way. I gotta get your dumbass through a university course in veterinary oncology medicine before you even know why the drug failed. And then you have to go another 4 years to make sure that the fucking machine you just built doesn't fuck up, explode, catch fire, or poison you. I'm stuck dealing with poor people at the bank. That's sort of the problem. And this described situation directly results in deaths due to cancer by directly retarding and obstructing access to critical business startup credit through an unable to revenue, unable to lend financial cowardice by explicitly preventing new businesses and products from being created and reaching market. So this is the Bank of Montreal, this is Toronto Dominion, this is Royal Bank. This is basically how and why people lend and how and why people fail to lend. And basically, long story short, I can go through about 8 people. So you start off, so the moment you walk in the bank, what happens? So walk in the bank, say, hello, I'd like to schedule an appointment with a loan officer or a thing for a small business. And the teller says, okay, well, go and meet so-and-so, we'll set you up, come back later, okay, whatever. Because nobody has any time to meet with you right then and there. So we'll come back, 2 days later, and we'll meet with the personal banker and the financial services manager for small businesses. So then he'll set you up with a director for commercial banking or something like that, who says, okay, well, what do you got? Here's your business. Well, I need to see your business plan. I need to see some tax forms. I need to see some financial evidence that the business is doing what it says it's doing, that it's participating the way it's participating. It's like, yeah, so here are the contracts with the grant providers. Here is the legal financial evidence and the legal scientific evidence and the legal law evidence that says we are doing what we're doing, thereby saying that this is a legitimate business in the eyes of the bank. Okay. Well, then it sort of dies there, because the evidence saying that this is required from a medical standpoint is bizarrely good enough for the government granting agency to give me money with, to securitize loans and stuff, but it's not good enough for the financial institution to securitize loans and stuff. So that's where this big sort of like, who's stupid? It's a race to the bottom. Who's stupider than who on this? And if I'm bringing evidence, it's not me. So then you go to the branch manager saying, okay, branch manager, this local person is not able to have the conversation at a high enough, sophisticated enough level to build a factory with and to ensure that this actually succeeds. Can you recommend anyone at your bank within the greater like industrial structure of your financial institute, someone that is handling institutional loans or something like that? Because I'm now the only person in Canada and the United States that's able to have this conversation, legally able to have this conversation. So you go through a shouting match with the managers and the assistant managers, because they're both too fucking stupid to be able to go on to their corporate search function, type in, well, who would this be? Type in a regional manager name, like, here is their email, let's start the process again. They're too stupid to be able to do that. So after a shouting match, we get we go to a relationship manager. What the hell is a relationship manager? It's like, well, basically it's a step above the loan officers, and now they're sort of saying, okay, well, how does this work out? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's another person that has to be educated and another person that is still lobotomized within their own job description. They're still sort of blind to the timber in their eye. So the next one is, so we go through the regional manager, and the relationship manager leads to the regional manager, and the relationship manager says, yes, okay, I understand. This is not typical. This is not really a bakery loan. This is not something that has ever been encountered before, and it's at that point, it's like, yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. I've been with you for 30 years. Let's be with you for another, like, 25, 50. See this whole thing through to the end. Why should I have to change banks when you when you were the ones who assisted in my schooling and rent payments? That's what I mean. Like, there's a 30-year credit history, and you're just sort of ignoring it. After partially assisting for that payment, which is like stupid. So now the blood's on their hands because they're actually that stupid. So from the relationship manager, you get passed off to the senior relationship manager, and the worst part about all of this whole process is that every single person in this like chain of command is naive. What's worse is you have to hound the person to be able to pass you forward within a reasonable, timely manner that says this is important. Otherwise, you get forgotten within their day-to-day stuff. So you're the asshole shitting on everything. No, you're the dick stabbing everyone that's basically there to do their jobs on your behalf, because there's nobody else within the bank that is able to have this conversation, that is able to do anything. So not only are the bank's employees, friends, and family members dying of this disease, the rest of the nation is dying of this disease. So when you encounter one of the senior relationship managers, It's the same process all over again. So you've wasted another like 2 weeks saying, okay, hi, how are you? I understand. I don't hate you, but this process should be expedited exceptionally fast, given the amount of evidence that has already been presented. Here's the financial stuff, but I'm telling you the way, because I'm the expert on this, that the grants don't get listed as revenue. They're an intake for the company, but they don't get listed as revenue because they're a grant. They're not a revenue. They're a capital gain, but they're not a revenue. They are an intangible capital gain because you get a piece of information from the grant participation, but you're not generating revenue. If you judge this, and I know you're going to judge this based solely on revenue, then it fails and you kill people. See how this works? You're being told by me in this process, as the CEO of the company, of the federal monopoly, that if you don't do it this way, and it works out, I'm not trying to screw you. If you don't do it this way, you're the murderer. Like, that's sort of way that's, you know, squared peg right on BMO for that one. Four years of that. Initially, let it cooled off, but then in 2022 we had the patents issued. In 2021 we went back to them with the entire legal case, and this is why, and this is basically why your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, your aunt's mother, why people died, because BMO can't do business with someone that they've been doing business for 30 years. So then from the senior relationship manager, we go to the regional market leader in healthcare and finance. So this sounds, for commercial banking, so this sounds like someone who is at least the person who is going to make, who knows a little bit about healthcare, who knows what these businesses are like, what they do, how they work and behave, you know, what their pitfalls are. And you get to the point with them, and you're having these video conversations with them, and it's not a shouting match. It's just like, okay, well, hello, who are you? What are you doing? How does this work? And you're just getting straight up disrespected by them, because they didn't read anything. It's like, here's some evidence to say I'm not full of shit, and you didn't read it. I don't care how much Botox you sold. You didn't invent Botox. You're not trying to get Botox through the FDA approval process. That's the difference here. And for someone who was sensitive, who had cancer and is like sensitive to, who should be sensitive to that, it's like bewilderment. It's just it's pure fucking astonishment how stupid people can actually be. Because even though you might have survived your first round of cancer, there's still remissions. There's still recurrences. There's still de novos. That's the real problem here, where it's just like, okay, well, they are willing to kill themselves. They're willing to kill themselves, their friends, their family members, for credit. It's stupid. It's stupid because I'm showing you the evidence of how it works right up to the point where the surgeon sticks it in you. But nobody is taking the time to actually look at it. So for a $60 device, after manufacturing costs, so the Joey clocks in at about $60. Chemotherapeutic potentiostat should cost no more than $60 to manufacture, because it's batteries and pencil lead and a little bit of voltage controller with injection molded polycarbonate plastics. This is nothing. You know, the shipping and handling, so it's like maybe $600 max, maybe $2,500. Something that every hospital can basically afford and is reusable is now blocked behind $150,000 engineering, to pay the engineers to make sure it doesn't like fuck up. Because startups don't have revenue. Who would have fucking thought? The most obvious thing in the world, that startups don't have revenue and then are judged by the fact that they don't have revenue. How about that? You're not getting a house loan. You're not getting a business loan. You're getting enslaved. That's how it works. So, that's sort of basically the argument against these financial institutions, and basically why it's the refusal to do actual business, to sit down and negotiate, to sit down and understand the terms of how this isn't a scam and how this isn't, you know, a screw up or a fuck up or some type of like negative Nelly or whatever, but to say like, no, this is good, this is clean, legitimate. It's been through a university system. It's been through a toxicology program. It's coming from those places. It's been through the law. It's got the law to back you up. You have the law on your side, and you have the scientists and the medical professionals on your side. You have the manufacturers on your side, and you have the other industrialists on your side. The problem is the financial institutes and the financiers. That is their one job. Their one job is to issue credit so that the entire economy doesn't turn to shit. Grind to a halt and turn to shit, bankrupting the entire country. And I'm having this conversation on Twitch of all places. Twitch isn't bad, but it's like, on Twitch of all places, here's the reason why your grandma died last Christmas. Merry Christmas. Blame BMO, TD Bank. Like, this is literally where the blame is placed. So it shall be noted that in total over 4 million people have died of cancer in Canada and the United States since 2016 as a direct and willful result of the BMO's lending and actions. Ironically, more than the population of Montreal. And it's like, it shall be noted by the expiry of these patents, nearly 14 million people will be dead from cancer as a direct result of the BMO not lending $150,000 Canadian to Innovative Potential Incorporated, an estimated GDP loss of $929 billion Canadian. And that's under the assumption, or not, it's not even an assumption, these are the federal cancer statistics. Go online and look them up. It's 82,000 per year from Canada and 608,000 from the United States for 680-some thousand per year. And it should be noted that a revenue-free... I'm just going to read a letter here because this is basically what it is. So I use my personal money, they're coming after me, but basically they killed a bunch of people, so why should I pay them that they killed a bunch of people? So basically that's it. Bank of Montreal is a Canadian bank with whom I have personally enjoyed nearly 30 years of service as a disclosure, and they were the bank with whom I had my personal account with since childhood, and with whom I had my university schooling funded. They serviced the student line of credit which brought the work electrochemical generation of reactive species and their application as chemotherapeutics into existence. When time came to begin to commercialize on that scientific discovery, the natural place to seek out small business startup assistance was the Bank of Montreal, as I had been with them for nearly 23 years by that point, circa 2016, and to the extent that they were advertising those small business loan services. It shall be noted that the student line of credit had been paid off in full by Jordache Boudreau before the small business loan was requested in 2016. The balance outstanding after completing the Master of Science program in 2013 was approximately $14,000. It shall be noted that the same documents were presented to the Bank of Montreal both in 2016 and again in 2022. The 2022 information package containing the letters patent for both Canada and the United States. Evidence submitted to the BMO as part of the small business loan application included in 2016 the letter's thesis, a second anonymously peer-reviewed journal article entitled Electrochemical Activation of Chemotherapeutic Prodrugs that Mimic P450 Catalyzed Oxidation, Proof of Concept for Focal Approach to Chemical Cancer Treatment, the lead author being Jordache Boudreau, and a business plan for the incorporated entity Innovative Potential detailing several financial assistance grant programs offered by the Canadian, federal and provincial governments on how to repay the loan, and On top of that, so in 2022, we went back to them inclusive with the Canadian patent 3035406, the United States of America patent 111989943, a copy of the economic report Health Value Economics, which is a report detailing the evaluation of the patent markets created. So there's a video on that on YouTube and here, so go check those out. A direct link submission to the explanatory website innovativepotential.com and the publications resource page innovation. So it's basically slash publications, and a collection of various American and Canadian cancer statistics describing the dire real world need for fiscal liquidity for Innovative Potential Incorporated. What was initially requested was $150,000 Canadian small business loan to cover the costs of business startup, expedite grant writing, procure professional engineering services for product design and production, all with a 50% government rebate through grant program participation. For taxation purposes, the government program grants are not counted as revenue or income. They are closer to a contractual contingency-based financial gift. It was made clear that all of this business would function as an appreciating asset during the startup and not display revenues until much later, being 2024, if that loan was initially given. It is jointly the defending position of Jordache Boudreau and Innovative Potential Incorporated that the BMO was received with adequate information and made aware of the number of lives at stake. And it shall be noted that both Jordache Boudreau and Innovative Potential Incorporated are the only two legal persons or entities authorized for the patentee and the legal patent and the patentee's legal representatives for the term of the patent 2017 to 2038. Granting of the patent the exclusive right, privilege, and liberty of making, constructing, and using the invention and selling it to others to be used, subject to adjudication in respect thereof before any court or competent jurisdiction. That's what the Canadian says. The US says a little bit different, but it's still the same basic idea. It shall be noted that in 2022, BMO willfully denied the only legal person and entity in Canada and the United States a small business loan for further commercializing electrochemically based drug enhancement medical devices. A denial of that request has now, circa December 2022, resulted in the deaths of 500,000 Canadians with cancer. The total amount who will die by 2038 is approximately 14 million people from Canada and America. It shall be noted that the BMO has negatively affected its own employees and its own employees' families, as well as their customers and the families of their customers, as a direct result of failing to lend to Innovative Potential. Both Jordache Boudreau and Innovative Potential Incorporated have since severed business ties with BMO. You don't do business with murderers. It shall be noted that from 2016 to 2022, Innovative Potential Incorporated, circa September 2022, was the legal owner of both the Canadian and American patents. The Canadian patent was since sold to US LLC. Both Innovative Potential Incorporated and the LLC are owned by me. It shall be noted that here are listed the officers and the roles within the BMO with which Jordache Boudreau interacted and their positions from March 1st to April 26th. So, from a couple week period, I'm not going to list them just because I believe that despite everyone's grotesque and they're just disgusting. It's just pure disgust. Because you would be disgusted with these people, and I'm not going to expose them to that. It shall be noted that the efforts of Innovative Potential Incorporated and Jordache Boudreau are built upon 50 years of legal, medical, engineering, and scientific advice, also described and presented to the BMO in conversation in 2016. It shall be noted that in both 2016 and again in 2022, it was requested of BMO by Jordache Boudreau to speak with someone, a competent and qualified person, at the BMO regarding lending for special term and special circumstances, as the patents are a fixed term depreciating asset purchased from the state itself. Jordache Boudreau, representing Innovative Potential Incorporated, was escalated from employee to employee as per request, however, with great incompetence and hesitancy on the part of BMO staff, sometimes taking 2 weeks to have this contact passed on post-prompting. Most of the individuals interacted with did not know how to service the basic request of being placed in front of a qualified BMO personnel, or were unable to conduct an electronic search of the BMO roster for qualified BMO personnel. It shall be noted that in 2022, no such competent or qualified person was found at the Bank of Montreal after nearly 1 month of the assistance of 8 people, and over 6,700 people died of cancer in Canada in that 1 month. So the BMO, through sheer incompetency of general customer service skills, killed 6,700 people. It shall be noted that copy requests for my general tax information and innovative potential corporate tax returns were requested by BMO. But when BMO personnel were requested to explain further as to the information required by the documentation, no replies were given to me by BMO staff. Only the document summaries were submitted to BMO. There was no further progress by BMO staff. The issue and information request was left unanswered. It shall be noted that the full tax returns total over 150 pages and panned several years, and to have them hand-scanned and emailed is beyond reasonable without explanation. Further clarification as to the specific nature of the information required, or if the full return was even required. So I gave them a bunch of summaries, and that wasn't good enough. They wanted the whole thing. It's like, you don't get the whole. That's a lot of needless work and wasted paper. It shall be noted that it is the responsibility of the BMO staff to employ their expertise as trained BMO and or Canadian financial and banking system experts to assist the customer, Innovative Potential, and Jordache Boudreau in their endeavors who are defensively not experts in said system, particularly after being presented with medical scientific evidence of a drug enhancement device's creation, use, and ownership. It shall also be noted that the revenue-free startup environment of a unique business like Innovative Potential Incorporated was explained to BMO staff via phone and via video conversations to nearly each of the 8 individuals on multiple occasions, and the startup model was explained in excruciating detail in publications 3 and 5, the business plan and health value economics respective, submitted to the BMO staff. The argument stands that Jordache Boudreau would not have had to use his personal line of credit with the Bank of Montreal, and that 500,000 people would still be alive in Canada had the BMO personnel actually assisted and explained to Jordache Boudreau in exchanging the information required to issue the $150,000 small business loan to Innovative Potential Incorporated in 2016. By 2023, a clinical trial would have already been completed with commercial market-ready equipment and designs had BMO been competent at their advertised business. It shall be noted that 82,000 people die from cancer each year, and 600,000 die in the United States. It shall be noted that over 4 million people have died of cancer in Canada and the US since 2016 as a direct and willful result of the BMO's lending inactions. Inactions is like an incapability. You're not able to do it. Ironically, more than the population of Montreal. It shall be noted that the expiry date of 2038 for nearly 14 million people will be dead from cancer as a direct result of the BMO not lending $150,000 to Innovative Potential Incorporated, an estimated GDP loss of $929 billion Canadian. This number is basically derived from the, you take the US GDP per capita in Canadian dollars, and you derive a number, and that's about $89,000 Canadian. Then you take Canada's GDP per capita, and that's 46,000, and then you take an estimated number of Americans by 2038 to die, so that's about 9 million, and then you add that to the estimated number of Canadians, which is 1.2 million. And then you multiply the GDP by the number of deaths respective in each country and add those two together to come out to about $8 billion. There's $800 billion lost in the United States because of the deaths due to cancer, and $59 billion in Canada for a total of $929 billion US dollars, or Canadian dollars, lost because these people are dead. Your lives are cut short and you lost $1 trillion. Because they died as a direct result. That's what we're trying to prevent here. That's what this is about. And for a $150,000 loan, it's like these bankers should be dragged out. Like, I can't say that because it's like it's not even good enough. It's like there has to be like punishment. There has to be punishments for this because this is ridiculous. Is the express written opinion of Jordache Boudreau as Canada and America's inventor of this pro-drug enhancement device, the author of the scientific literature, and a previous 30-year customer of the BMO, that the incompetency displayed over the past 6 years by the BMO and its personnel are criminal in their stupidity, nearing a treasonous and neglectful incompetency towards the 120 million people directly and indirectly affected by this disease, cancer. It It shall be noted that from the perspectives of Jordache Boudreau and Innovative Potential Incorporated, that while this situation is a non-public issue, the incompetence presented by the BMO becomes a public confidence issue once public disclosures take place, such as this one. The public image that is in jeopardy here is that the BMO has actively and repeatedly failed to develop pre-existing long-standing ties with the only legal person and the only legal entity in the nation who is capable of developing these drug enhancement devices, willfully allowing the continued suffering and deaths of millions of their fellow citizenry, the citizenry of the United States of America, their own employees, and their shareholders. Basically, what I want from them is I want the 8 people fired for just sheer. I want them fired. I want the 8 people fired. I want $100,000 credited to my account for this bullshit. I want the loan. I want the $150,000 credited to Innovative Potential. And then you give and then the BMO has to give a $5 million donation to Innovative Potential to carry out the rest of the work. It's a big list, so for this part, it's like, what's reasonable? It's like, I want those people fired. I want the personal emotional damages, and I want the business to have what it initially had. So you set me back like 6 fucking years here and killed 4 million people, and what's reasonable is just that I might even not get an apology letters, because this is bullshit. But basically what makes it really happen is like, no, BMO goes bankrupt. So there's $400 million given to Canada and the United States from BMO because they can't make a fucking decision on how to save the voting citizens of Canada and the United States. So why does BMO get to kill American citizens? Why does it allow them to die when the one guy who has one solution that's able to help them is basically having the door slammed in his face? And then the rest is just money for the businesses, like, because you're clearly not using it to make money, so why should you keep it? So that's basically sort of how Innovative Potential, Innovative Judicial, and Innovative Financial all come together in one little basically that's what the court case is going to be looking like and what it's going to be arguing, and then we just sort of pile on a whole bunch of extra evidence. So we have tax return evidences, we have the scientific evidences, because there's a lot of scientific evidence there. We have the letters of recommendation. We have basically everything that we've been doing up to the point of this conversation, including this conversation itself, and then whatever's going to come afterwards. Because when your employees are too stupid or are so hand-tied to corporate policy that the people within, so it's like, because the loan officer didn't issue this loan to this guy, his coworker's mother died because of him. That's how interior and important this is. Not only that, his bosses, like, this is the bit of the straw man, but this is how very real the straw man is. It's like, so because you didn't issue the loan, my aunt's mother died of cancer. Because you didn't issue this loan, my daughter died of cancer, or I'm not getting treated with this. I don't even have the possibility of being treated experimentally with this device because you did not give this gentleman a loan. With which he presented a pretty damn good case on how he's going to be able to pay it off. I want BMO bankrupted. I want the TD Bank bankrupted. If you and your financial institutions are too fucking stupid to read English, I want you bankrupted. That's where this is coming from. Out of business by 2038, off the continent, branding scrubbed, just scrubbed. I don't want to see traces of these logos. I thank them in another video because despite the skills and services I'm using with them, what I need from them and what you as an audience member need from them is for this to happen. It's a small value loan to make a couple of purchases from some engineers so that the product that is being sold goes to extend the lives and economic output. So it's basically the basic economic story of this is if you die today, tomorrow you don't have any money. You don't spend any money. It just gets distributed to whoever. If you're still alive today and then you're alive tomorrow and then alive the day after, that's 3 more days you're buying electricity. That's 3 more days you're buying food. That's 3 more days you're buying internet. That's 3 more days. Like more people is more money. That's the biggest. This innovative financial represents the biggest failure in modern economic theory and policy. Except if you're owning a crematorium, at which point you should be paying me directly for the free advertisement. If you don't know what we're talking about, pay us, and we'll inform you. Innovative financial and crematorium. No, that's just like callous and insensitive. That doesn't bespeak the high ideals of which we are supposed to be dealing. And that's it. And since 2016, that's before COVID happened. 2016, 2017, 2018. So you have 3 years worth of bullshit and death on your hands because you're that fucking stupid. You can't use COVID as an excuse. And now that it's patented, you can't use anything as an excuse. The music is nice. So if you're in China, go look up those patented references because they're not patented in China. You build your own factory. Congratulations. Go check out the thesis. Go check out the other stuff. Have fun with that. All the tea in China. The tea in China is loaded with polyphenols that fit with the bioactivation mechanism. You're gonna have a field day with that one. It'll be fun. Testing molecules, stuff like that. Maybe check out Jylland University. Same if you're in Ireland. Same if you're in one of our references is out in the University of Edinburgh. So there's jobs there. You can go for jobs. Mexico, if you're in Mexico, they have there's universities. Who would have thought there's universities? There's universities in Mexico that will be able to allow you to assess some of the pick a jungle fauna and make a university book or study out of that. Same in Belize, same in Bolivia, same in the Amazon is going to be loaded with positive hits with this type of device. So you get to build your own, you get to do a whole bunch of stuff. Argentina as well. You have to translate it in Espanol, but in Portuguese. But I'm pretty sure most people speak English by this point, at least insofar as understanding what's being said. I can understand what's being said in Spanish and Portuguese and some other languages, but it's really I can't conjugate. Nice, sound like some type of idiot child or something, but there's actually a lot here. India, if you want to look up your Ayurvedic medicines, what are bioactivatable and what are not through HPLC scholarships, those are all over Calcutta University, all over Mumbai University. You should have toxicological programs in the public sector on that. So even Africa too. Africa's come a long way. So something in the Congo and Congo's primeval might turn out to be a new panacea. But that's sort of the idea here, where the world of innovative potential is actually a lot larger. So anybody in the green section, if you're paying attention to this, you know, there's nothing stopping you. Even with the thesis book, there's nothing really stopping anybody in North America either. It's just most of this is just regarding the Joey. So have at her, have a good time. It's when the entirety of the bioactivatable market and drug molecules gets exhausted that you want to start looking at what the actual infrastructure looks like. How does a Joey behave in a medical setting? How does it behave in a laboratory setting? What is it good for if you... So it's basically, this came up in another conversation where it's basically, if you're selling drugs in sub-Saharan Africa that have a refrigeration requirement, that location isn't very good for refrigeration. So rather than making your life so difficult, put a heat shock chaperone protein or other molecule on top of the active molecule, and then hydrolyze it with the Joey device, so that it doesn't decompose in the high heat or high humidity, or you can preserve it with a chaperone. Take your drug, put a preservative chaperone molecule on it, and then activate it at time of use with the Joey. And now you're designing molecules with this, and that's sort of where the real what this phenomenon is, and that's the real sort of value of this galvanostat as applied in the world of pharmaceuticals. It's not just an HPLC electrochemical detector; it's a fully functioning medical device. That was told to the banks. And what's worse, the worst part of all of this, because you're trying to get away from the banks being greedy and stuff, but it's like the sheer number of people and like the greed isn't there. That's the scary part. You're instead stuck with the robot, and the robot is stupid because the people employed by the bank are robots, have become robots themselves, in and of the sense that they are letting an algorithm tell them to do something against a good idea, to go against scientific evidence, to go against medical expertise, to go against the law. Like, they're not breaking the law, but they're not supporting the beneficial consequences of it either. So before Tuvalu sinks by global warming, when you invest in the patent industry, it's not just bookmaking, it's not just law, there are ramifications of this. And the whole reason why I patented was to get rid of failures of bureaucracy like this. Because it's a failure of bureaucracy. Because of bureaucracy is screwing over a lot of people, and the people are alive. Because it's more of a question of, well, we let you die because we didn't know it existed. It's now turned around and have become, we're purposely withholding it from you so you die faster so we don't have to pay your pension off. So it's like very difficult to turn around to your own co-workers or the people who own your company and say your child is going to die because we are not loaning the guy who holds prowess over you and letting him do his job. We're not letting him do his job. And there's like 370 million people at stake. So that's like 5% of China. Innovative potential represents 370 million people with this, and that's 5% of China. It's basically it's 5% of the world. 4%. So if you want Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that follower crap, you're following the law. You're following a U.S. law on this. And this is where I'm getting stuck, because it's not the scientists, and it's not the engineers, and it's not the regulatory commission people, it's not the FTA, there is no one getting stuck except for the finances, and those banks are going to break, and they're going to break hard. So, that was all we have time for today. Today's sponsorship was brought to you by Innovative Judicial, because the judge's son died because of the BMO wouldn't give me any